Hello, welcome to Inside China Auto. Welcome to another autonomous driving video. Today, we're going to be testing out the latest XNGP system on this car here, which is the XPeng P7 Plus. We drove this last year, got a full review of that on the channel. You can see that up in the top corner of the video. Well, this is the car that we're going to be trying today. As you will see, unlike other XPeng cars, there are a couple in the car park. Unlike those, this one doesn't have any lidar units. This is a vision-based system, much like on that Tesla over there. So going to be doing a little drive around Guangzhou. We're going to get in the car, all the cameras are set up. Going to get in the car and we're going to set the route manually so you can all see what route I'm setting. I'm going to try and get a mix of U-turns. There's some U-turns on this road here we can try. So some U-turns, some roundabouts, a little bit of kind of high-speed driving, some more dense area driving, really get a mix of roads and see just how well this system does. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so here we are inside the P7 Plus, and I want to get a variety of different roads while I'm setting this route. We're here at this hotel. I want to get this U-turn in here. So what I'm going to do is just going to set the hotel on that side of the road as the final destination, and then let's just say go, and then I'll add some waypoints in. So I want to get some interesting stuff in. I want to get this cool little kind of curvy junction in there, because that looks reasonably complicated. And if I keep going straight, there's a roundabout down here. So I want to try and get this roundabout in. So let's put a waypoint there. Taking a second, there we go. So add that in as a waypoint. Right, then let's try and get some more kind of urban-y roads in. So I'll try and go down this looking road here. That looks fairly interesting. There's a nice park somewhere as well. So I want to go up. I want to go down the side of this park here. That looks fairly complicated. And it looks like there's a kind of a big road here. So I'll try that as well. So there's another waypoint. And then let's pop in this one as a waypoint as well. Don't know how many waypoints you can do on an XPeng. We've got 4 currently. And then let's try and get in a narrow road. I know these are pretty narrow down here. So that gives us a 43-minute journey. That's pretty good. Let's give that a go. That seems quite good. All right. Now I've got to get out of the car park first, which requires me to pay the toll. So bear with me 1 second. And I'll get my cameras set back up again. So I need to come out of here. Hopefully the cameras are still recording. If at any point they stop, I will pull over and start again. Not start again, but I mean start the camera again. 60 kwai, wow, that's an expensive car park. So let's pay with that, okay. Good to go. Get back to the DJI app, there we go. Let's drive out the gate, make sure all the cameras are all working. That one's working, so we've got one looking at the screen, and then an action cam, DJI Action 2 cam, looking at the wider scene. That seems to still be working. So, after all these scooters have gone past, I'll try and avoid those guys waiting at the traffic lights down there. Now this place was pretty busy last night, but a bit of traffic on that side. We'll drive out, and then we'll pull down on the lever. Okay. Okay, now we're on to NGP. And there you go. So it's doing the indicating by itself. Now, as ever, in these videos, I'm going to do my best to just let the car do its thing. I will, of course, take over. And I do have to put my hand on the wheel so it senses that I'm here. That's a regulation in China still at the moment. Now, a lot of cars cannot do U-turns in China. We're really lucky at the minute, actually, because it's taking its time, but there is only one car coming. Is it going to pull out in front of that one? Put my foot over the brake just in case. It's waiting. It's done it. Okay. Okay. Can you go? Is it going to go? Bear in mind, it's vision-based. It's doing this without lidars. It's taking its time. It's very cautious. Come on. Come on. Come on. It's thinking about it. And it's waited too long now. That Jetor is already coming out, and now it's waiting for the Jetor. I'm holding up a taxi here, and he's getting annoyed at me. So apologies for that, taxi driver. It did it. Very cautious, but it did it. That took us a bit longer than I was hoping it would. But that's the first time I've managed to achieve a U-turn in a Chinese autonomous driving car. So, very good. Yeah, could have done it a bit quicker, especially given there was only one car to deal with in front of us and then none. And I'm just waiting for it to prompt me to press the steering wheel. I'll keep my hand off it until it tells me to do so. Now, this is a 60 road, and the autonomous driving set itself to 70. You can see that up in the top corner over there. So it's given itself a slightly more than 10% bonus there. Now, oh, we've got some roadworks now. This is good. Okay. So it was thinking about changing lanes then. It decided not to. And we've got some kind of temporary road markings here where the car will, I think you can go right or left. Yes, you can. Okay. So this Ion wants to get in. He wants to go on the right side. I think we want to go on the left side. Which one are we going to go for? We're going to go for this one. Okay, we're going right. There you go. Indicating right. There's a scooter behind us. Just double check. There's some cones. It spotted the cones just flashing up there, so it's decided to come back in. Look at the back of that car. That Ion Y is missing its entire back left corner. That's outrageous. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. That is shocking. That is shocking. Wow, okay. Anyway, back to the main video. So as I said, I'm going to let the car do as much of its own thing as possible. Like, I didn't touch it at the U-turn back then. If it becomes a danger, cause any real problems, then obviously I'll step in. We'll see how it goes. So currently we're in what is normally a bus lane at certain times of day. It seems to know that it's not a bus lane right now. So it's only, what time is it? 10:46, so it's a bus lane between 7 and 9 a.m. So not now. It's not actually prompting me to touch the steering wheel yet either. I can't believe the state of that car in front. That's incredible. So it's decided it wants to change lanes, and it's given up because we've got a taxi on the left side. We've got some buses that are going to try and re-enter the road. We've got scooters, a lot of scooters in Guangzhou. They're all over the place. I'm really surprised it hasn't prompted me to touch the steering wheel yet. That's very interesting. Okie dokie. So, pardon me, I might have to clear my throat a few times in this video. These guys are unsure what they want to do. It's a driver, a learner driver. They're going very slow. The XPeng's quite happy to cruise past. I wonder if there'll ever come a time where we don't have to learn to drive and we'll just let cars do it. And this is where it's going to get interesting. This is the first funny kind of lumpy shaped junction in the road here. So I'm really curious how it will do this. It kind of wants the middle lane, but that Volkswagen's going to take it, so it's happy to take this one instead. And so we're going to be here for how long? Okay, so this traffic light isn't connected to the system, so it doesn't tell us on here. Some traffic lights are connected to the infrastructure, so the car knows how many seconds are left. You can see now, 4, 3, 2, 1 coming up. So really curious how it's going to handle this. We do have a scooter. He's going up the curb. Okay, that's good. That's one less obstacle for us to face. Now, Chinese lane etiquette on roundabouts is not always great. It's avoided that scooter there, which is good. Often they try and go to the middle lane, so I'm curious if the car's going to try and do the same thing. And it has done it. It's just cut inside a lane there in front of that. Well, it's a Volkswagen with a different badge on it. You can't see this in the video, but yeah. So we're not entirely between the lines here. Casual with its line, with its lane keeping there. But it has navigated, no problem. And we've got some blockages on the right lane there. A BYD wants to come into our lane. Okie dokie, so a bit cautious there. Could potentially have gone to the left lane to get around that, but you know, the key thing is really, I suppose, that A, it doesn't crash, and B, it doesn't, it moves at a relatively good pace. We're actually near XPeng's headquarters around here, I think. So that's one thing I do want to clarify in this video, is that we are in Guangzhou. Guangzhou is XPeng's home city, so it is on home turf here. You know, I'd love to try this on my route in Kunming, for example, although it's going to be a new route, I think, in future. So we're changing lane now automatically. It is going to be a new route in future in a different city, because we're moving out of Kunming, sadly. I do love Kunming. Anyway, it's made a lane change there quite happily, so I accidentally touched the steering wheel then. So yeah, it is on home turf, and therefore should be good, or has an advantage at least. So I managed to avoid that learner driver. It's now unsure about which of these lanes it wants to be in. It's kind of close to this white line here. Not sure what it's unsure about. We're going to go into a tunnel. Seems pretty satisfied it's worked it out now. And yeah, literally, I haven't been prompted to touch the steering wheel yet. I don't know if the regulations are different here in Guangzhou. So I can just keep my hands off the wheel, actually. Interesting city, this one, because it actually does have some autonomous bus routes as well. And I did make a video of it, but it didn't seem that interesting. Oh, now it's telling me to touch the wheel, okay. So maybe over a certain speed, you have to touch the wheel. At low enough speeds, maybe it doesn't need to be triggered. We've got flashing yellow lights ahead of us, which means we can go. Proceed with caution. The car seems happy with that. Lane keeping has been much improved since the roundabout. Of course, we've got a bigger roundabout coming up where we've got to go around 3/4 of it, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it fares with that. So far it's achieved a U-turn quite casually. It's achieved, I would call it half a roundabout somehow, with a bit of lane keeping casuality. That's even a word. And yeah, we've got some kind of urban kind of roads around here. I don't really know Guangzhou so well. I know around the motor show area, but I'm not really a driver here. One of the real challenges of Guangzhou, and this is some useful context I can give you while we're on a fairly straightforward piece of straight road here, is it's a bit of a building site, honestly. So far, we've been quite lucky. This road's been super clean, but there are a lot of areas of Guangzhou where, I don't know who's beeping. There are a lot of areas of Guangzhou where, good lane change, you touch the steering wheel. Very good sensitivity actually, by the way, on the steering wheel. That's better than a lot of other cars. Just a light touch with a few fingers and it was quite happy there. There's a Mona actually over there, look. There's a Mona with a lidar unit on the roof doing some autonomous driving testing. Stop for the traffic lights in good time as well. Let me just divert from topic for a second while I eye up the Mona over there. Because the Mona, that's interesting. So XPeng are moving away from lidars. They're doing vision only, or vision-based autonomous driving. And Mona currently has a lesser system than this one, so it doesn't have the full XNGP. But I believe they're announcing a pro version of that car, which we also drove on the channel. You can see the link for that in the top corner over there. I'll put that on. And that one will be able, because it doesn't have lidar units, will be able to do the same as this. It should be able to. So that's interesting. They're going to basically have a car, a super affordable car. I think it starts at something like 120,000 RMB, 130,000, something like that at the moment. Really, really affordable, selling in massive numbers. And they're going to be able to get that one with the same autonomous driving system as this. They call it the Eagle Eye Vision system. And one of the interesting things about this, the cameras are, I think they call them low-fic cameras, which allow you to see better in the dark. So a lot of cameras kind of get issues when you get into dark environments. They can't see as much. These low-fic cameras apparently are really good. Now we've got quite a lot of traffic around us, making really good progress actually. Decent speed gain there. I'm quite happy with that as we head towards our roundabout. So there's potential to wind people up here. Let's see how well it does. And it's there's a red light here. It's chosen the right lane, which is good. Don't mind me, I just need to wipe my nose slightly. Bit of a cold today. I'm really curious how it will do on the roundabout. If it's already picked the inside lane, it should be good to get round and keep the lane choice correct. The question will come as it turns off the roundabout. So we're already indicating left, which is good. That's how we would do it in the UK. There was a scooter somewhere near me, I don't know where he's gone. So inside lane, that's the right place to be. The other interesting thing about the P7 Plus, by the way, on the mirrors over here, we have blue lights. So when the car is in autonomous mode, which it is now, it will show blue lights outside so other people can know that we're in autonomous mode, which I think is good. There's been a lot of debate about that online. Some people asking, you know, does it need to? Why should we treat these cars differently? I think it's kind of a transition thing. I think it's an important thing when there are few cars that are in autonomous driving mode. Now this is interesting because these, okay, that's good. Very nice. Smooth transition off the roundabout. It might have needed to be in a different lane, more to the right side then, but fortunately there wasn't enough traffic around us to really cause any issues, cutting other people off. But it handled that nicely. So yeah, I think that the blue lights are quite useful in a time when there are only a few cars, even here in China where there's more, where there's only a few cars with autonomous driving capability. I think it's quite an important thing. Oh, actually, it was supposed to be a U-turn. Oh, we're doing it further down, okay. There is one U-turn here. There's another one further down. Roadworks again. As I was mentioning earlier, I'll come back to that topic. As I was mentioning earlier, there are a lot of roadworks all the time in Guangzhou. They're constantly reshifting the roads. So you can't rely on HD maps completely because you need to adapt to the situation because the road will be different at any given time. The next day, it'll be a totally different route. So this system has to deal with that. You can see here how it's kind of painting the picture of confusion on the left side. Now our U-turn area is down there. It's going to make the lane change. Now this is interesting. We've got a solid red line, and that best tune's been quite good about it. You're going to indicate left? It's not sure. The best tune's on the inside. There's our U-turn, and we've missed it. It's too late now. The U-turn's gone. I've got a bike behind me. He's doing the U-turn. Okay, so we can do a U-turn at the end. Waiting for the system to adapt now before I wind anybody up. So it's missed that U-turn because of the roadworks and the temporary painted lines. You can see they're red here. So it's going to have to, okay, so it's given up on the U-turn. It's instead gone to LCC. Now it's back into XNGP again. And it's going to go left. So we've changed that on the map. So that's a bit of a miss. We've actually got an autonomous testing car, a Volvo XC60 behind us. The turn was good. It missed the U-turn. So that's kind of the first. So in the top corner, I put mistakes and takeovers. So that'll be number 1. That's the first one that it's really messed up with, which is going to change our route a little bit because it means that we're now going to have to do a different U-turn down here. So it is going to get to test a U-turn again, which is nice. Ideally, it will prepare itself and put itself in the left-hand lane. But obviously, we've gone for the right-hand lane to begin with. And we've got another bike on that side, on our left side. So we're going to have to cut in front of him first. And ideally, before this Audi decides to have a fight with us. So, oh, the U-turn's not here. It's further up. Okay. Well, this is interesting, because this is where it wants to do the U-turn. And it's not going to do it here, surely. The car behind me is getting a bit annoyed now. It's not going to do a U-turn here. I'm going to take over. So I'll just pull to the side here because that bike behind me is going really slowly. I will do this U-turn manually. So on a road like this where the U-turn isn't super clear, obviously it can't do it. Now one thing about this car is the turning circle is not fantastic. So I'm going to have to do that myself. So yeah, that's a bit of a, that's a miss. That's a number 2 on our takeover. So I'll return to XNGP now. So we've got a blue light up over there, a little blue circle. So that's two things it didn't manage to do. To be fair, that one would have been really difficult to do because you would have to go into the right-hand lane and then wait for all the traffic and then do a U-turn, which involves a 3-point turn. So U-turns it can do, 3-point U-turns, seemingly not yet. It's avoided those cones there very nicely. That's all worked out pretty well. Overall, it's been actually a really smooth experience, this, apart from the hesitation at the first U-turn. It certainly felt very comfortable inside the car. It felt like a smooth moment. So waiting for that bus to go past there. And it's going to have to, this is interesting, where's that MQ going to go? So it's got a solid yellow line. It has to go over the yellow line. So it's stopped now. Just as I was saying, it's smooth. It's gone all cautious. And now it's just stopped completely because it doesn't want to cross the yellow line. But where that car is parked, we have to cross the yellow line. Now that car's just turned his lights on, so maybe he's going to go. And now this is a great example, actually, of where a system needs to be able to adapt to inconsiderate driving from others and parking and things like that. Because if the system is unsure there about crossing the solid yellow line because that car's there, and it was literally just going to sit there then, wasn't it? Thinking that car was in traffic. Now we've got a little 3-wheeler here. Will it cross the solid yellow line now? This time it kind of has done. Pretty close to that 3-wheeler, but didn't touch it. And now it's kind of on the yellow line anyway. So there is some flexibility in the system, but it just wasn't really sure about that Toyota. And, oh, here we go. I'm going to have to pull in here, because otherwise it was going to try and overtake these cars and then those guys would have been there. So that was an enforced takeover. I need to drive first. Okay, now we're off again. Because these guys are parked on the outside, and I think legally they're allowed to. But you would have got into a situation there where where I would have had to take over to reverse out of that situation, because they were already reversing to allow the other cars coming up. Now that's pretty bold. It's just driven right out of that junction in front of the learner driver. It seemed quite happy to drive out in front of that car then. So that was pretty bold. It did it safely because the other guy was going slow, but that was pushy. A bit more pushy than I would ideally like to be as a British guy. But a lot of these systems are actually trained for China to drive like Chinese drivers. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is up for debate. Interesting car in front of us there. We've got a super van. I think that's a WeRide super van. What do they call it? Like an MPV. So we drove the super van. I'll put a link to that in the top corner as well. That's now in Australia and the UK and a few other markets as well. WeRide, which is an autonomous driving platform company, semi-Chinese, semi-American, not sure exactly how they would call themselves. They've taken some super vans and kitted them out with their sensor pack, and they're going to sell them in Dubai, I think, or Abu Dhabi, somewhere like that. And that looks like one of those ones because it's got a kind of a kit on the roof, and it's the passenger vehicle version. So there you go, that's something interesting. You see something different every day on Chinese roads. And yeah, so whether training the cars to drive like Chinese, I mean, that's how they survive without just giving up and wilting like a leaf on the road and going, oh, well, everyone else can do whatever they want, I'll just be very patient. But it's a fine line, isn't it? I mean, if someone else decides they're not going to give you the space, you know, it's kind of on you, really. And that's why these systems, they're autonomous, they're supervised systems. They have to be supervised. Now, this BYD, what's he doing? We want to come off here. Probably could have made that change a little bit earlier. We have safely navigated the transition though, which is good. So it's managed that quite well, actually. And we're probably going to go into the right-hand lane now, hopefully, because we're going to turn right. Supervan's also moving over. There it is, there's your supervan. He's also still trying to turn right, so, ooh, this is going to get tight. The truck's taking his time to turn right here. He's let us through, though. The car just went for it, which is good. I like this camera here that shows you blind spot, so your camera under your mirror over there. And now we're going to enter, well, the highway's actually up there, so we're not going to get the full highway. We're going to go into the left of these lanes around the pillars. And we want to go straight on, but we're in a right turn lane here, so we need to go in that lane. Oh, here we go, it's a straight lane now. It's changed. That's good. Guy driving with his horn on completely then. So worth noting at the moment that we are on 13.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers for this journey. So that's pretty good. Energy consumption. I can't remember exactly. I think this car comes with 160 kilowatts or 180 kilowatts on the rear axle. And I'm not sure which version we've got today, actually. Not necessarily important for an autonomous test. Okay, so the truck's pulled in front. We've avoided that. That's good. And we're in the middle of a section with no line here for a brief period, but we've stayed where we're supposed to be. And it says we've got a U-turn coming up in 1.6 kilometers, so I'm curious what kind of U-turn that's going to be. So the traffic's being pretty well behaved in Guangzhou today. There's always one or two maniacs, but they've been quite good today. Pardon me, hiccup. .60 limit down here. We're doing 58, so within the boundaries of good driving. Did well following the lanes then, because they were a bit poorly marked. Giving space to the bus as it drives past, also good. You see the bus went a bit yellow on the side to show that it recognised a large vehicle and gave it more space automatically. I had to put my hand on the wheel, there we go. U-turn coming up in 734 metres. So I kind of want to be in that lane, really. That's interesting. So this junction here appears to not be just a simple left turn. It wants to go past the junction, do a U-turn. I'll be honest, I'm skeptical about how that's going to go. I'm skeptical, but let's see. 500 meters, we'll find out. So again, could do with being in this lane. The map's saying this is the lane you want to be in, left lane. So the change now would be good, and there it is. Gotta say, it's lovely and quiet in here. Super peaceful. Now, I do have some vehicles behind me, so I'm hoping this will be fairly quick. Oh, it's a fairly narrow road over there as well. That's going to be a good test. So it was indicating, it's now stopped. Now it's started again. All right, here we go. And okay, the BMW behind me is moving out of my lane, so that's okay. I'm not going to wind quite so many people up. Of course, the one there is waiting. This is like heart in mouth stuff, this. Go on, the BMW's gone now. Okay, good, good, good. That BMW's been very cautious. Almost as cautious as the car is. Nothing coming. So it's achieved the U-turn and headed over here as well. That was very smooth. That was very smooth. I think we were lucky that there was no more traffic coming down that road. We've been lucky a few times on this route today, to be honest. But that was smooth. And now let's see how it fares. We're going to do a left turn in a minute. And I hope this is a real road. I just chose it on the map. It is a real road, so that's good, okay. Now there's a scooter coming. Is he just going to... Oh, he's turned left anyway. It did wait, though. Did wait for the scooter. Blind spot camera on your left side there. So it does seem that if the car goes over 60 kilometers per hour, it asks you to touch the steering wheel, but under 60, it doesn't seem too fazed by it. It doesn't seem to ask you quite so much. I gotta say, I've actually been impressed by this. This has been pretty good. So we messed up on a couple of U-turns, one after some road works where we didn't get across fast enough. Here we go, trucks on the inside. Ooh. As there are cars coming around the outside. So it's waiting, it's indicating. Camera can see there's nothing else there. So it's being cautious. There's a car behind us now, he's going to get annoyed. I'm going to intervene there because otherwise we'd stop and do nothing. And the car behind me would get a bit wound up. So I'll take my foot back off the accelerator. So that's 3 interventions. A really tight 3-point turn U-turn that it didn't do is number 2, and that driving around the truck. I don't know how long it would have waited, but I don't want to sit and annoy this guy all day and see if the car will just wait there for an hour without moving. So again, some interventions will be required. Hoping I don't use all my voice up later because for this video, because today I'm going to be driving to Nansha Port on the southeast side of Guangzhou. This car's pulling over to park. Hazard lights on. It's recognised hazard lights on there. Hopefully it recognises that means the car's not going to do anything. This guy behind me is beeping. So I handled that nice and cautiously, but did it. Very good. So I'm heading to Nansha Port because XPeng are sending their first shipment of X9 MPVs in right-hand drive to Thailand. So there's going to be a bit of a ceremony about that. I'll do a short video on the channel for that. Now, is it going to give space to this Nissan? It did. It gave enough, yeah, that was fine. We're going to keep going straight down here. Wonder when this Toyota is going to get annoyed. Oh, BMW's decided he's going to do a U-turn. That's very polite of you. Maybe you should back out the way completely. Good, it's done that. Toyota's going to storm past us now because he's getting annoyed. He's had enough. I've got to avoid this dude walking down the road with a trolley. And the scooter coming towards us in front as well. So it's identified the dude there. Thinks it's 2 dudes. But yes, I'll do a video on the X9 event. And of course we've got this one. So hopefully I've still got some voice left for that video later. Bit of a bumpy road, this one, but the ride quality is good on this P7 Plus, which doesn't come with any fancy suspension. No, it doesn't have any kind of air suspension or continuous damping control, I believe. Also very affordable, this car, by the way. Starts, I believe, at 180,000, 189,000 RMB, which is a crazy price. Also selling it by the bucket load here in China. And then next month we've got the G7, which is the SUV version of this car, also coming. So we'll have a review of that one, if we don't already by the time you're watching this video. So after this we've got a right turn and then a left turn at a junction and then another right turn. And yeah, honestly, so far this has been very impressive. This has been very impressive. This is the best XNGP test I've done so far, I think. So we tried the G6 in Shanghai about 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, and that was very good. Shanghai, probably the best city in China for autonomous driving, just because of the newness of the roads, the driving standards of others, and the kind of the clarity of the road network. It gets a bit more complicated in places like Guangzhou, where you get a lot more roadworks and things. And we tried it on the X9 in Xi'an, which is a very difficult city to drive in. So people just cut across in front of you there. Xi'an's a difficult city to drive in. A lot of new infrastructure in an old-fashioned frame, let's call it, plus some pretty shocking driving standards. And it did relatively well there as well. But this has been the best one so far. And this is the vision-based system. So what can I tell you about vision-based? What I've understood recently about vision-based systems versus lidar-based systems, the difference with lidar is simply safer. It's an extra layer of protection. So having discussed this with people running some autonomous driving departments in China, what they've told me is vision can do 99%, if not more of 99% of the overall autonomous driving experience. LiDAR really covers you in those few occasions where, for example, a camera finds it difficult to differentiate between the sky and a white object, or in dark locations where you can't really see as well, but the LiDAR can sense things. So LiDAR is like an extra airbag, or an extra pair of airbags in the case of an XPeng. Also, there are different types of LiDAR. So the LiDAR that XPeng were using, they were using 2 down in the bumper, and they were more short-range radar, so much closer. Whereas LiDAR units that are up here, on top of the car, they tend to look much further, and they can see, for example, 250 meters into the distance if there's debris in your lane on the motorway, for example, so they can avoid that in advance. And you might not necessarily see that on a dark motorway with a camera. You might not see it early enough to make a comfortable lane change, or might not see it at all. And that's the difference between vision and LiDAR-based systems. So XPeng have obviously decided they can do most of their stuff. LiDAR isn't that expensive anymore, but they've decided it's a cost they don't necessarily need. I think their more expensive models might still keep LiDAR units. We shall see. That was a bit of a hesitant lane change. We're kind of on the line now. Want to pick a lane? Maybe this one? There we go. So I think that's what they're going for. They might still keep LiDAR on new versions of their cars. I don't know. I guess we'll find out when they do updates. But the good thing for them now is that with this vision-based system, they're actually enabling people who bought the cars without LiDAR to upgrade their system. So the cameras were already there, the hardware was there, but the chip, for example, wasn't as high powered. So they're actually allowing users who bought the non-LiDAR equipped cars to upgrade their chipset for a fee, so that they can have XNGP, full XNGP on their car with a vision-based system. So it's navigated that little situation quite well there. Cars parked on the inside. Just to dive in there with that little comment. So yeah, they've done pretty well with that. And I think, I don't know if any customers have taken it up. It was kind of like a crowdsourced thing, so if enough customers went for it, they would do it. I'll check in on that today actually, and see if enough customers did upgrade. Now it can feel fairly slow, this, but that's merely because, I did put this urban setting, didn't I? It can feel fairly slow, this, because this is the speed limit, so 40 is what you're supposed to do. I know some autonomous driving systems, particularly in America, do tend to speed a little bit, so they're not quite as law-abiding as this system is being today. But yeah, so what I'm going to do, by the way, our hotel is an hour away from the port, so I am going to do another video, and we've got a junction here, big junction with no traffic lights. So is it going to go in front of that GAC taxi? Taxi's turn left anyway, doesn't matter. So I'm going to do another video on the way to there, and I might put some clips of that on the end of this one if there's anything of note to point out. So I'm going to get to test it on a longer setting, also including some highway routes. But unfortunately, not enough highway routes on this particular section that I've done today. But yeah, this video is an interesting one because often it's the things that the car does wrong that you get to talk about, and it's actually done very little wrong. Now this is a stop, that's a stop sign. And it didn't do a stop. Now I don't know if it actually crossed onto the other side of the road a little bit there. That was a bit over the edge. Should have gone around that corner in a better manner, I would say. I don't know if you have to stop on Chinese roads. I know in America, if there's a stop sign, even if there's nothing there and it's very clear, you have to stop physically and then move again. So you see we're in some kind of really more rural roads now with garages and stuff on the side, and very difficult to read road markings because you can't even see any road markings here. So it's kind of been a little bit cautious about whether it's doing the right thing or not. That's good. I was hoping we'd get a road like this on the trip, so that's worked out quite well. But yeah, I'm not sure if a stop sign means you have to physically stop in China. It didn't stop at that stop sign then. It just drove out. So whether that's a real mistake or not, I'll have to clarify. For now, I won't put it as a mistake, but I suspect it might be. And then we're back onto the home stretch, back to the hotel. So that was the route of the P7 Plus. We got quite a bit done there. For the first time, we've achieved a U-turn in a Chinese autonomous system. Even the Huawei system that we drove in Kunming last year on the Avatar 1.2, even that didn't do a U-turn. Did it do a U-turn? Maybe it did actually. It didn't do roundabouts. It just gave up at roundabouts. This is the first time we've achieved a roundabout. Yeah, I think the Avatar system did do the U-turn. The Neo system didn't. But the Neo system was updated shortly after that point, so maybe it can do them now. But yeah, so there you go. That was XNGP. I'll end the video here because we are almost at the hotel, so I'll take over and go in. But yeah, very, very good. Very good. There you go. It's time I have to take over in 160 meters. So we'll just come to an end. And there you go. I'll take control now. Cool. So thank you very much for watching. If you do, thank you for subscribing. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up so more people can see the latest updates of the autonomous driving systems in China. And as ever, I'll catch you next time.